News, unfortunately, is rarely good news on television, but we are pleased to report that tonight is an exception, a very happy exception, in fact. It has been a happy Monday here in India. What am I talking about? Let me show you these visuals. These men on your screen are Indian nationals and Indian Navy veterans who have landed from Qatar. In October 2023, they were awarded the death sentence by a Qatari court. You can imagine what followed. The tension and strain that hit them and their families, the worry that spread across India. Today we report that India has managed to secure their release through the personal efforts of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He has brought them home to their families. It's a big win for Indian diplomacy. It's a vindication for the veterans and their families. And it is a diplomatic triumph for the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It was his personal intervention and the hard work and dedication of India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, the persistent effort of our diplomats in the Foreign Service that helped to secure the release of the Indian nationals. The story begins in Qatar. The 8 men were working with a Doha-based firm called Al-Dahra Global Technologies. This company provides training and other services to Qatar's armed forces, also security agencies. And these men were detained in August 2022. The charges against them were not made public. And in October, they were sentenced to death. India appealed against the death sentence. In November, the Court of Appeal, in fact, accepted India's application. In December, the capital punishment was reduced to imprisonment. Less than 2 months on, the Indian Navy veterans have been pardoned by the Emir of Qatar. These men have been released from the prison and they are back in India. And how has India reacted to their release? This is the statement put out by India's Ministry of External Affairs. The government of India welcomes the release of 8 Indian nationals working for the Dahra Global Company who were detained in Qatar. 7 out of the 8 of them have returned to India. The last we heard, India was trying to lodge an appeal against the prison sentences. And fast forward to today, how did the story take such a positive turn so quickly? Well, because of the Indian Prime Minister's intervention. Prime Minister Modi leveraged his personal rapport with the Emir. Ever since coming to power, the Indian Prime Minister has prioritized deepening bilateral relations with the neighborhood. In the year 2016, Prime Minister Modi went on a state visit to Doha. This was the highest level visit from India to Qatar since 2008. Prime Minister Modi held extensive talks with the Emir of Qatar. The two sides signed multiple MOUs or Memoranda of Understanding. Ever since, the two leaders have met on numerous occasions, be it on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York, or the COP in Dubai. The government of India tells us that the two leaders, quote unquote, have been in constant touch with each other telephonically. In December, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi met the Emir of Qatar. This was on the sidelines of the COP summit in Dubai. Prime Minister Modi wrote about this conversation on the platform X. We had a good conversation on the potential of bilateral partnership and the well-being of the Indian community in Qatar, quote unquote. And 2 months on, the Indian nationals are back home. These men know what happened. They know who saved their lives and whom they owe their freedom to. Here's what some of them had to say.
कि वापस इंडिया पहुंच गए हम सेफ एंड साउंड और डेफिनेटली ऑनरेबल प्राइम मिनिस्टर श्री मोदी को धन्यवाद करना चाहेंगे कि उनके पर्सनल इंटरवेंशन से ये पॉसिबल हुआ
के अथक प्रयास से कि वो कंसिस्टेंटली लगे रहे एंड वी आर देयर इन फ्रंट ऑफ
We have waited almost 18 months to be back in India. We are extremely grateful to the Honorable Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi ji. It certainly wouldn't have been possible without his personal intervention and that equation with the Emir of Qatar. I think we are grateful to the Government of India, from the bottom of our heart, for the every effort that has been made. And this day wouldn't have been possible without it. Grateful indeed. Thank you so much.
7 of the 8 veterans are home. The 8th will return home soon. India's Foreign Secretary has told us earlier today that the Prime Minister personally supervised the handling of the case. And what's more, Prime Minister Modi will be travelling to Qatar on Wednesday. The Prime Minister will be discussing ways in which India and Qatar can further strengthen ties. Like I was telling you, this is a success story of the Indian Prime Minister's leadership. His personal diplomacy has not only united the Navy veterans with their families, but also helped restore confidence in the minds of thousands of other families living in Qatar. Did you know over 835,000 Indian nationals stay and work in Qatar? In fact, Indians comprise the largest expatriate community in Qatar. They work in medicine, engineering, education, finance, banking. These visuals of the smiling faces in Delhi will help them feel safe in Qatar. And the credit for this also goes to Ajit Doval. It was he who led the negotiations on India's behalf. He flew down to Doha, put forward India's case, secured the release of these men. It is indeed a happy day for India. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.